hear me loud and clear? I mean,
We're good to go.
this is how I do my videos on this thing. I set
Perfect.
it up, do this, and it seems to work fairly well. I usually get good sound.
You're perfect, and we're recording.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, see, I told you it was raw. I told you it was raw. Hey,
just
so
that.
so today on the show, I'm not really even sure what I'm going to call this yet, Brian, but I've got Brian Philp, who is the team leader at the Keller Williams Norco Market Center. And I came into contact with Brian a couple of years ago when Brian was working for the region, and just a really impressive young man. And I thought this would be a really cool opportunity to talk to him. As we were just talking, these videos are about helping other agents, other assistant team leaders, other team leaders, whatever, become more successful by hearing stories from people like yourself. So without further ado, Brian, thank you so much for joining me. I know you're a busy dude. So give us your background. Tell us what brought you into the business and what you're doing now. So the floor is yours.
Well, thanks for having me. First of all, I got to say that I was honored. I went home first thing and I told my wife when you were like, "Hey, would you do this video?" And I'm like, "Why do you want me to do it?" So it's an honor. I really appreciate it. That's and to be. I've watched some of the other videos and I've seen Brock and I've seen Norberg on there. And one of my favorites, Chris McNamara, to be interviewed with those guys. I mean, that's a good group to be a part of. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So how I got in real estate, a very funny way. I actually went through the affiliate side. I started in title insurance with First American Title way back in like 03, 04. And I was actually going to be a cop. And back then, real estate was booming. And a good friend's father, who's like a mentor to me, said, "Try out this real estate thing." I said, "I don't want to do sales." He said, "You're a born salesman." I said, "I am not." He goes, "Just trust me, get into this thing." So I looked into it. Long story short, I joined the title thing. Real estate was booming. The crash happened in 06. And I got decimated just like everybody else. I went through a loss of job. And a divorce all at the same time. It was pretty rough. So the only thing I knew then was real estate. So I did a lot of assistant work for one of the top Tarbell agents and then one of the top Remax agents in California, and eventually got an opportunity to run my own office with an investor friend out in Upland. So we ran Fidelity Real Estate, and this was back in the days of those all the short sales and the modifications. And we kind of made that up as we went, just like we all did. And I did that for 3 or 4 years. And I would train these short sale agents. We try and do a mod and we change it, train them how to do a short sale. And we were probably pushing, 7, 8 short sales out of this tiny little office every single month. And it was a good system. But something weird started to happen to me. I started to feel this lack of growth because I was all alone on this island and inventing the wheel by myself. So I had to switch things up. So I started to leave real estate, got in the insurance industry, and I was with a company that had a lot of training and it had a lot of growth. And that seemed to be, at my age, or where I was in life, it seemed to be what I needed. And I started liking that a lot. A friend of mine, Aaron Wood's wife, actually. Aaron Wood's a team leader out in Vegas, good friend of mine, good guy. If you're out in Vegas, go see him. He knows real estate. He's good. He called me up, or she called me up. His wife called me up and said, "Hey, look, you're good at real estate. Come back in. I'll make you an affiliate again." I was doing NHD. She said, like, "I'll get you a company car. I just need you to raise the market share. I'll give you money. I don't care what you do during the day." So we went and did that. Long story short, I started seeing this company called Keller Williams, and I kept bumping into these KW agents. I watched Bold classes, and I'm like, this is exactly what I want to be a part of. I love these kind of people, but I never thought it would happen. And Marion Benton tapped me on the shoulder and said, "You seem like a talented guy. I want to do an AVA." I didn't know what an AVA was.
Right.
So I took that opportunity, and between her and a good buddy of mine, Heath Hilgenberg, they brought me in. And through that process, I realized this is a company I want to be a part of. And I became the regional manager, the regional operations manager for just under 2 years. We got the region to 100% profit, re-franchised a couple offices and grew some offices that are actually growing now. And then I got the tap on the shoulder, right under that 2-year mark to become assistant team leader. It was Mark Willis that said, "Always look for your next." And I asked Marion, "What's my next?" And she says, I think you'd be a great team leader. So she says, let's train you under the best. And Deborah Murray was running Riverside at the time. So I went with Deborah Murray. And man, if you don't know Deborah Murray, she's a pistol, but she's the best. She is the absolute best. And she whipped me into shape real fast. So just under a year at Riverside, then I got the call. And they said, we need a fire lit under Norco. And I said, throw me the ball. So I've been here just over, I think I just hit my 2-year mark. So just a little bit over 2 years now.
So you mentioned, people like Deb Murray and Mark Willis and folks like that. What did you learn from working in Riverside and Deb? What did you learn about agents that succeed at a high level? And what did you learn about agents that don't make it in the business? What were your takeaways from working with them?
Well, from a leadership side, I learned really fast that you've really got to have a certain kind of passion if you're going to lead others to do something that one of my favorite real estate quotes is, real estate is simple, it's just not easy. And to do something that's just not easy, you've got to have some sort of passion or some sort of calling to really move you forward. So you mentioned certain guys that make it and certain guys that don't. We had a $48 million producer at one time. I would watch these guys walk in with their team of people and the main agent walk in and lead these guys, and they'd be on the phones, lead generating, and that whole team had a different mindset versus some of these guys, like you said, that didn't make it, that would be, I'm an agent. I don't have a boss. I can get up at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock and float into the office. And, look, there's a training. I'll dip in. But, I got that inspection for that one, home I have. And I got to go do that now and then leave. It's a different mindset.
Right. Talk to me. You work obviously as a team leader, you work with a lot of new agents.
Yeah.
So if I'm a new, I don't know why I do with these headphones. I always seem to knock these out. But if I'm a new agent and I come to you and I say, Brian, I want to produce at a high level, whatever that may mean. Let's just say, I want to do 20 deals. That's high level for me. I want to do 20 transactions in the next year. What do you tell that agent? What's the conversation sound like when you sit down with them?
So agent sits down and says, hey, I want to do 20 deals and I got to knock this thing out of the park.
Yeah, and I have no idea where to start. I just got my license today, and it's a Monday morning at 8 o'clock in the morning. What do I do? Brian, help me.
So one of the best things that we tell agents all the time is, one, welcome to the best company to teach you how to do that. Mm-hmm. And I honestly, truly believe that. I've seen every company from Coldwell Banker to Prudential to, every single one of these guys. And from my affiliate days, I've been inside these, and no offense to any of those other companies. There's some great companies, but as far as training, there's a reason why this is the number one training company. Right. And I'll stand in front of anybody and say that I believe that from my heart. In the last 4 years that I've been with this company has changed who I am as a human being and allowed me to be me. It has not only trained me to be a better real estate agent and real estate wise, I think made me fairly unstoppable. Yet it's also made me a better leader, a better father, a better husband, a better human being. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So I'd say, welcome to a company that's going to teach you how to do that. And I'd ask that person I'd ask them or tell them that they need to do a gut check really fast. And they need to find out how serious they are about those 20 deals. Because you said it, being a team leader, you meet these people all the time that are, I've got to get in and I'm going to do 20 deals. I couldn't count how many agents I've met that's going to be the next, big thing. And when I was new, I used to meet them all the time and say, I met the next big thing. Deb and more of the experienced people would look at me and say, oh, okay, because they knew. And now I can look and go, okay, that's got to be the one, right?
Right.
But I tell them to gut check themselves, ask them how serious they are, and then the first test would be, are you plugging in? If you're a brand new agent and you're not plugging in to the things that Keller Williams has to offer, like the training and the systems, you're silly. And here's the even better part, Mark, is if you're going to a class like Ignite or Bold or Seller Mastery or Lead Generation 3612, all these amazing courses that agents have, if you're going and then not doing the work, it doesn't have a purpose. It's like showing up to the gym and staring at the bench press, right, or wimping your way through a couple presses. That's not going to do anything.
Right.
So go and show up and do the work. And I see those two different people when I teach an Ignite class or something like that. I see those two different type of agents, Mark, and you'll have the ones that'll come up and they'll say their daily 10-4. How many contacts do you make, Mark? Mark stand up and he'll go, I'm at 11. You're like, great, cool. And then you'll have Agent X, and Agent X, how many contacts you make? I made 1. I got bummed out.
Right.
And that's the same guy that told you wanted to do 20 transactions, but just keeps looking at you like he wants to know. And I think the other thing I'd tell him is you just got to go out there and do it. There's so many agents that, and this isn't just an agent thing, I think this is a life thing, but there's so many agents that say, they're in that get ready, the ready, aim, and never fire mentality.
Right.
And they're like, well, I have to master the contract before I go out. Well, I have to master that one script before I have to master this. No, you don't. Get out there. Gary Keller said last year, and it clung to me. He said, you want to know why I'm here and you're there? The only reason I'm here and you're there is because I failed more times than you have. I've allowed myself to fail more times. You don't need to master a contract. Yes, you do need to know it. You do need to be good. But the best thing you can do is get out there and jump into the frying pan. And that's, I think, how I'd start explaining to these guys. And we do.
No, that's great. That's great advice. Talk about something that you just mentioned. You said you've changed a lot in the last couple of years. What was the catalyst for that change, if you don't mind sharing, and what changed? I mean, because I love to talk about. I interviewed Dave Norberg, whom you know, and Dave in his book talked about what made him change. He woke up one morning years ago on the floor of an apartment that he wasn't even renting, and looked at himself in the mirror and said, I was dirty and disheveled. He said, I've got to make a change. And so many people that I talk to, I'm a student of success and success principles and successful people. It's my obsession, which is why I'm doing these kinds of videos. Everybody that I talk to that is successful has said, I made a decision. So I'm just curious, because you said that, and if you don't mind sharing, if you don't, just say I don't, and we'll move on to the next one. I'm just curious what changed.
I grew up in San Diego, but I was born in Long Island, New York. So I shoot straight from the hip, my friend. I got nothing to hide. For me, I don't know if it was an age thing, but I was going through a weird transformation. I was single for, 6.5 years and trying to discover who I was. And, which I think is a total godsend that I was sent to this company. I don't think that's a coincidence because of the growth that this company allows. And at the same time I was discovering who I was growing my relationship with God and trying to figure that out. And as I grew closer to him and I listened more than I spoke, which I still have difficulty doing these days, I speak too much, things started to happen for me. And I honestly believe in the bottom of my heart, I mean this to my core, that God directs me and all of us in the ways that we go in life. And I believe he pushed me in front of this company. I met my wife because of this company. My introduction to my wife was a cold call. It was a cold call made in bold, which our broker set up, and I went on a blind date for.
See that for all you single agents out there, make those cold calls. You never know. That's awesome.
Make the cold calls and go to bold.
That's awesome.
Not only will you be a great agent, you can get a spouse.
Who needs Match.com, right? It's just coldcall.com.
You don't need that. You pay for that. You'll make money here.
That's a great story.
So I believe I was directed that way. And you asked what was the main change? This company really allows you to be who you want to be. And I think that's very important. I think that people go through life, Mark, and I think they try to be someone else. And there's a huge change going on in this country currently right now with the all of a sudden the word PC and politically correct, you hear it all over the news lately, right? And that doesn't matter what your political or religious views are. I'm someone that was always taught by my family and by my mother to be who you are. And this company has allowed me to be who I am. And as the Lord pushed me towards this company, the training came out, and it embraced I think the real me of who I am. I think that was kind of the tipping point. I have a wife now that embraces me and embraces who I am as a human being. I have a company that allows me to be that. And like I said, being in bold and in classes like that Keller Williams offers, and networking. The networking is just so crazy. To network with some of the, I'm kind of a fan of this company. To network,
That's good.
To network with some of these greats. I've had the opportunity to sit down with guys that do 300-400 units a year. Yeah. That's incredible. So I think a combination of the networking and the classes, it's allowed me to really embrace who I am and be who I am. And I honestly believe that greatness is in every one of us. Some of us just won't allow it to come out. Right. We try to be something that we're not. And I live my life every day now being who I want to be and not apologizing for it.
That's good. I interviewed, I don't know if you know Steve Clark from Pasadena.
I do.
Yeah, so I interviewed Steve, and you talk about somebody who's just purely authentic.
Yeah.
It was really great. I had interviewed Brock, and Brock said, you got to talk to Steve. And he talked about that. You know, he said he came into the business wearing Doc Martens with a mohawk, you know, and he had to shave that, and he started wearing suits, and he's like, this is just not who I am. And I think, you know, as a productivity coach, I see a lot of people who try to fit themselves into a role that maybe they're not supposed to be in. And once they become their authentic self, that's when you really start to see some true growth. So I
you go to my team meetings, and you'll sit in one of my team meetings, and I warn my agents when I hire them. I go, look, we have a lot of fun here. Mm-hmm. We laugh, we make jokes. You'll see the agents ping on me, I'll ping on them. But don't mistake our family love and our laughter for competitiveness, because I'm an extremely competitive human being. You can't say you'll beat me in anything that I won't step up to the challenge. That's just how I'm wired. But I'll say things in those meetings, nothing bad. I'm not using foul language or anything. But I'll say things that people go, ooh, that's kind of raw. Or I'll do Deb Murray's very famous for saying this, and I think she got it from Gene Rivers. She goes, I'll put my finger in your eye. I'll take my finger and put it in your eye, which means I'm going to get in you and in front of you and tell you, hey, this is the way it is. Right. And some people are like, ooh, that's so forward and that's so mean. No, that's just being real. And I think that whether that's you or not, if you're you, that'll bring you to a whole different level if you allow yourself to be you. And I'm still figuring that out.
No, that's good. I mean, that's really. I totally agree with you. I mean, I completely agree with you. You do a really cool newsletter, and you do some really good stuff. Is there a topic that you could think of in a couple minutes that you've talked about? I mean, where do you think real estate's heading? You know, if I'm a new agent, not necessarily young, I could be a new agent. What are some important things outside of the nuts and bolts? You know, you talk a lot about social media and things like that. What do you think? Where are we going? What's important in the next couple of years for agents coming into the business?
Well, I think the biggest thing that you could do right now, because there's so many agents entering the market right now. The last couple of years are the first years that NAR's posted a positive agent growth count for a long time. And I think it's about value. I think agents have to find a way to provide value. I think that the market is obviously, we have not a fantastic market. We have a solid market, a healthy market. But I think if you're not trying to find value, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Especially out in California, we have these agents that are discount brokers, and the reason they discount themselves is for a lack of value. You know, and I think that I think the real estate market is headed to a great spot right now. But there's a couple things I advise my agents to do right now. One, find your value proposition and know your scripts, know your dialogues, and know your elevator pitch. If someone asks you, why should I use you? And the only thing that comes out of your mouth is, well, I have a pretty business card, or I can discount my commissions, I'll work for 4%. Well, that's weak. Know your elevator pitch and know the value. You should be able to spit out in 30 seconds of exactly why someone should work with you, why they should do business with you, and why you are better than the next guy, and why you're not afraid to tell them that you're better than the next guy. Right. The other thing is work on your database. Gary Keller drills this down incredibly. If you don't have a database, then you're not really running a business. You're just a salesperson.
Right.
You've got to think 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. Because if the market does crush again, and Gary talked about that, he said, winter's coming. Mm-hmm. This is what he said. Right. Winter's coming. Right. It's going to get a squeeze again because the builder market hasn't caught up yet. Right? Look at the amount of national home builders versus 2006.
Right.
I can't remember the stat. Gary put it out, but it's staggering. I think it's around 75% less than there was back in '06, the height of the market. If it squishes up again, and Gary's right, and he was right the first time, do you want to be the guy that's still trying to find clients, or do you want to be the guy that has a massive database that is now giving him referral business? Do you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's where I think the real estate market's going. That's what I'm training my guys to do, is to be masterful of your craft, extremely masterful of your craft. Know who you are, know your elevator pitch, know your value. I think that's the biggest thing. We got Zillows and Trulias stealing your business from you, and teaching the public that, one, you don't really need an agent, or two, that you can get a discount.
Right.
You need to find out why you're valuable real fast, and you need to be able to articulate that very, very fast. And then again, work on your database. Build that database now and grow it as large as humanly possible.
Give us a couple of things that you hear agents say about why they're valuable, if you can think of them. Give me a couple off the top of your head. What makes me more valuable than the other guy?
So a guy like Mike Killam, he's a great agent in my office. He's one of our, if not top producers in our office. Makes a darn good income. And a guy is famous for wearing sandals all the time. But you know what? You stand in front of that guy, and he'll light an elevator pitch on you in 2 seconds. And he'll tell you, look, I've been selling in this area for the last, I think it's 9 or 10 years. There's no one in here that knows the inventory, knows these houses, knows the ins and outs of your floor plans better than I do. And there's no other person out here that's going to negotiate better than anybody else than I will right now.
Right.
And he spits that out. And I probably butchered it.
Oh, that's good. That was good. No, that's good. Yeah.
I mean, he could do an amazing job with it. Guys like that, guys like Michelle and John Stieber, those are two individuals that have an amazing team, and they know their inventory. They know Norco Hills better than anybody else out there, and they have an amazing value pitch. For me, I tell agents when they come here, I say the same thing almost every time when an agent comes in here, and they'll think they're interviewing me. I love when agents think they're interviewing me for a spot to join our company, because they think that, but it's not true. I'm interviewing them, and I tell them, look, here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for learning-based individuals that have high energy, that want to produce, and they want to do something big. I don't want anybody that's a prima donna, because they won't fit in our mix. We're a really big family. We laugh a lot and we have a lot of fun, but we're extremely competitive. If any of that scares you, you probably won't be a fit. If there's a fire burning inside you right now, you're going to love working with us. Who are you? And they look at me and they tell me right then and there. And that's my elevator pitch for the company. If I was out selling right now, I would do the same thing. I'd tell them, listen, I manage 197 agents here in the Norco, or my past life was 197 agents in the Norco Market Center. There's no one that you'll meet that's more passionate about your business than I am. If you're looking for someone that's going to be honest and be able to negotiate at the highest level for you, you've run into them. That's who you're working with now.
That's great.
And you got to just stare them in the eye and tell them.
Right. And you have to believe it, right? I mean, you really have to believe that.
Okay. So what you just said, that is why you're the best in La Quinta. What you just said that's key.
Right.
That's 100% key.
Right.
What the things that come out of my mouth, I feel like I'm passionate about what I do because I honestly believe it.
Right.
Beyond a shadow of a doubt, I believe everything that elevator pitch I gave you. I honestly believe it.
That was clear. That was clear.
What you just said, you have to believe it. If I said, who did I say this? I was teaching a class the other day, and they said, well, I'm afraid to make a cold call, right? And I said, do you want to know why you're afraid to make a cold call? She said, why? I said, because you don't believe you have any value when you call that person. Do you want to know why you want to call your friends and family and remind them that you're in the real estate business? Because you feel you have no value. If you felt you had value, you would have no problem calling them. And you could look them in the eye and say, why the heck would you list your home with anybody else when you're sitting across from someone that not only is truly great in the industry, has your best interest in mind?
Right.
The reason you won't do that is because it's not believable. You don't believe it deep down in your core. And I said, if you don't, then you need to go find out why.
Right. No, that's great. That's really good stuff. Okay, so Like I said, I try to keep this down to about 25, 30 minutes. So I keep everybody's attention.
I talk too much.
No, it's perfect. It was really, really good stuff. I mean, your passion is infectious. I mean, and that's why I wanted to talk to you, because I've seen you at events. I've talked to you before, and if you don't know Brian and you're in that Norco area, call him up. He's just what he says, he believes. So two last questions for you that I like to ask. I asked this of Diana Kokoska on Wednesday morning at the Productivity Coach Mastermind, and she just gave the most amazing answer. So there's some pressure on you there. But if you could go back, and place a call to your 20-year-old self, and give your 20-year-old self any advice based on what you know now, what would you say to your 20-year-old self?
Oh, that's mean. The follow-up, Diana, because Diana's one of my heroes.
Hopefully, it was amazing. She was amazing. Yeah, it was amazing.
She's an incredible person. I've had the opportunity as the regional manager. I had the opportunity to fly to Texas and network with her and sit in these regional meetings with her and Mark Willis and John Davis. And you name it, every regional director. And when Diana was in there, I found every opportunity I could to steal a few minutes of her time. And
you talk about passion, unbelievably passionate.
She's a rock star. She's just awesome. So what would I say to my 20-year-old self? I think most people in life fail because of fear. And I could think of a zillion things in my life that I have been afraid to fail. I've been 100% afraid to fail. My ego does not like, it's a giant ego, and it does not like to get bruised and fail. I'm the kid, believe it or not, that could not sell candy bars in front of Vons. I think I got rejected once or twice, and I went home and ate the whole box by myself and made my mommy pay for it. That's me. So I would call my 20-year-old self, and I would tell myself, stop being afraid to fail and just go do it. That's honestly what I would say. That's
great. Great stuff.
And the other thing I tell myself too is to start working on my relationship with God sooner than later. Because I used to give all the credit for my success. I was pretty successful when I started in this industry, and it all came crashing down fast. And I believe that's because big man upstairs was saying I needed a reset, and I needed to give credit where it was due. It wasn't me that was responsible for it.
Beautiful. The other question is one word. You only get one word to describe the reason for your success thus far in your life. What would that one word be?
That's a tough one. What would that one word be? Well, I'd like to say passion. I'd like to say heart. But again, I'm going to have to give it to God. I think I don't have that passion and I don't have that heart if it wasn't God-given. And I meant what I said before. I think I mentioned this to you. I believe that there's greatness that is in every single one of us. The reason that some people make it and they're famous movie stars or amazing athletes, or the agent Bob Lucido that's coming out to the desert, 1,200 something units, 10.7 million GCI.
Right.
There's a reason why certain people will never get out of the gutter or sell 1 or 2 homes a year. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do.
Right.
And there's a reason why certain guys will hit ultimate success. And I really believe that they've found that greatness and they've listened to whatever your belief is. They've listened to whatever your belief is, and you've tapped into it. And you've allowed yourself to reach for that greatness and be that ultimate person. You know, I'm someone that I don't want to leave this earth. My big why, I guess it would be, I don't want to leave this earth without leaving a mark on it. I want to know that my time on this earth was spent doing something great, not only for myself, but to help other people. And I believe I do that every day. And that's the fulfillment of this job. I think I do that every single day. I think I, at least in a small way, help another human being reach their potential for greatness. And I don't think a lot of people reach for that. So my one word would be God, because he gives me the passion and he gives me the heart to do what I do. And I don't think it's much. So I appreciate you interviewing me and making me feel like it is a lot.
No, it's a lot. And believe me, I know that there's going to be many people that are going to be impacted by what you just said. And I know there's big things in store for you. So, I believe in you, and I want you to just keep doing what you're doing, and you're on the right track. And I really appreciate all you've done and your time, because I know you're busy. So thank you so much.
Hey, listen, you are awesome, and I've thought that since the moment I met you. And your whole group down there in the desert are incredible people. I've made such great relationships. And if your team is watching this and you're not listening to what this man is saying, seriously, listen to him. Not only do I believe that you know what you're talking about, but you have an amazing team around you that does. And I truly, honestly believe that. If you ever need me down there to do anything, I'd be more than happy to. It would be an honor to. So you let me know. And if you're ever up in my area, come on down. I'd be blessed to have you.
And you just, I forgot to mention, if you ever get a chance on YouTube, look up Heath Hilgenberg and Brian Philp. The ESPN spoof is amazingly funny. You got to look it up. You know what? I'm going to post the links in the YouTube.
Please do. That was ahead of its time.
Oh, it was. That was amazing.
My beard was epic in that. I was freshly. I was as freshly married.
It was great. Anyway,
yeah,
listen.
That was ahead of its time. If we did do that today, it would be great.
Yeah. Hey, thanks again. I'm going to go head out into the Coachella traffic now. It's this weekend 1 for Coachella. So
go see Guns N' Roses and Silver Sun Pickups.
Staying far away from that. Anyway, have a great weekend. Thank you so much. I'll talk with you soon.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man.
All right. Take care.